Hello, I'm Dr. Michelle Colby, one of the NIFA National Program Leaders supporting the Veterinary Medicine Loan Repayment Program. Thank you for taking the time to view our webinar providing an overview of the veterinary shortage situation. If you have questions as I go through the material, we will provide contact information at the end of the presentation so you can reach out with your questions after viewing. We will cover two main topics in this webinar. The first is an overview of the Veterinary Medicine Loan Repayment Program, or VMLRP, and the Veterinary Services Grant Program, or VSGP. These are two USDA NIFA programs that use the veterinary shortage situation areas. I will provide a quick overview of each program. I will then provide an overview of the veterinary shortage situation process in general. In accordance with federal civil rights law and U.S. Department of Agriculture civil rights regulations and policies, the USDA, its agencies, offices, and employees, and institutions participating in or administering USDA programs are prohibited from discriminating based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, gender identity, including gender expression, sexual orientation, disability, age, marital status, family parental status, income derived from a public assistance program, political beliefs, or reprisal or retaliation for prior civil rights activity in any program or activity conducted or funded by USDA. Remedies and complaint filing deadlines may vary by program or incident. This slide contains contact information for individuals with disabilities to request reasonable accommodations to participate in or apply to our programs. This includes language access service for limited English proficient individuals upon request. Anyone wishing to file a complaint can utilize a phone number, fax number, or postal mailing address listed on the slide. The Veterinary Medicine Loan Repayment Program is a program which awards up to $75,000 to an individual over a 3-year service commitment to serve in a veterinary shortage situation area. Awards are made to individuals and payments are made directly to their loan service providers. Applicants apply to serve one veterinary shortage situation area and use the shortage nomination form and the requirements it contains to inform the development of their application. NIFA only makes one VMLRP award per shortage area per year. VMLRP applicants can apply to serve private practice areas which are known as Type 1 and Type 2, and public practice areas known as Type 3. We will cover additional details of the different types of nominations later in this webinar. The Veterinary Services Grant Program is a program that awards up to $125,000 to a veterinary clinic over a 3-year service commitment within a designated veterinary shortage situation area. Awards go to clinics to purchase equipment or offset expenses. Applicants apply to serve one veterinary shortage situation area and use the shortage nomination form and the requirements it contains to inform the development of their application. NIFA only makes one VSGP award per shortage area per year. VSGP applicants can only apply to serve private practice areas or Type 1 and Type 2 shortage areas, which must also be considered rural by USDA standards. More information can be found on this rural designation in the VMLRP Shortage Nomination Guide. A brief overview of the veterinary shortage situation nomination. Nominations are submitted by state animal health officials, or SAHOs. VMLRP and VSGP applicants do not submit nominations. However, they can communicate their perceived need for veterinary shortage areas to their SAHO for consideration. Veterinary shortage situation areas are designated for only 1 year. During the open nomination period, the SAHO can submit new nominations, carryover nominations, or a combination of the two types. New nominations are nominations that include either new geographic areas or areas that have previously been nominated but have updated must-serve species or updated activities and services. Carryover nominations are identical to the previous year's submissions and are submitted without any revisions. Shortage areas can be carried over for up to 3 consecutive years. With respect to the number of shortages each state has to nominate, the VMLRP allocates a set number of veterinarian shortage situations each fiscal year. The state-by-state allocation can be found on the maximum number allocation table, seen here and accessed via the link displayed on this slide. The VMLRP maximum number allocation table contains the maximum number of shortage situations each state can nominate as a shortage in a year. The total combined number of new and carryover nominations cannot exceed the maximum number allocated. All nominating entities, states, special consideration areas, and federal lands are listed in alphabetical order, followed by the maximum number of nominations, new and/or carried over, that may be designated for fiscal year 2023 to 2025. Part of the review process is to determine the maximum number of nominations, and if a state exceeds that amount, you will be notified to adjust as necessary. There are three types of veterinary shortage situation areas. A Type 1 shortage is at least 80% full-time equivalent, or FTE, which represents 32 hours a week of private practice food supply veterinary medicine in either a rural or urban area. A Type 1 shortage may be classified as rural, urban, or other type if the veterinary shortage situation to be mitigated is consistent with the definition of practice of food supply veterinary medicine. A minimum of an 80% full-time equivalent commitment in part recognizes the fact that occasionally food animal veterinary practitioners are expected to meet the needs of other veterinary service sectors. Type 2 shortage area must satisfy the definition of rural area with a minimum of 30% full-time equivalent commitment, or 12 hours per week. Type 2 shortage situation areas allow for VMLRP awardees to provide food animal veterinary service in remote and/or economically depressed rural areas that may be unable to support a practitioner full-time. These nominations are intended for shortage situations where the submitting official believes that the veterinarian can operate profitably, committing at least 30% time to food animal medicine activities based on the client base and other socioeconomic factors impacting viability of the veterinary practices in the area. A Type 3 shortage is at least 49% full-time equivalent, or 19.6 hours a week in a public practice setting. This is a broad nomination category comprised of many types of public service, including veterinary training and employment areas relating to food supply and public health, veterinary workforce capacity and capability. These positions are typically located in city, county, state, or federal governments and institutions of higher education. Examples include university faculty, staff or residents, veterinary laboratory diagnosticians, state veterinarians or epidemiologists, county public health officials, USDA meat inspectors or area veterinarians in charge, and federal veterinary medical officers. There are instances where bordering counties along two state lines may wish to submit a joint shortage situation based on mutual needs in closely aligned geographic areas on either side of a state border. The process for submitting joint nominations changed in fiscal year 2023 so that the joint nomination will only count as one allocation from the state that submits the form to NIFA. A maximum of 2 states can combine counties per shortage area, and both state animal health officials must affirm the nomination at the time it is submitted. The steps for this process are as follows. Both states collaborate to identify, develop, and review the nomination. The location of the veterinary shortage box on page 1 of the nomination form should indicate the separate counties for each state, so the nomination is specific to where the services will be required. Please be mindful that the defined service area is realistic for practitioners. The state animal health officials will determine which state will submit the joint shortage nomination. The submitting state animal health official will sign the affirmation on page 3. The collaborating state animal health official will provide an email verification affirming that the information presented in the location, species, and responses to page 2 on the form align with the purpose of the program. This email will be included with the joint shortage nomination when it is submitted to NIFA. Our first example of a joint shortage is JS 221, California and Arizona, which you can find listed under either Arizona or California in the fiscal year 22 shortage nomination map. This shortage nomination was developed jointly between California and Arizona and covers La Paz County, Arizona, and Riverside County, California. Thank you again for viewing the VMLRP Veterinary Shortage Situation Nomination Overview webinar today. If you have any questions, please reach out to NIFA staff at vmlrpapplications@usda.gov.